This question comes from Peter Richmond, and he basically wants to know how to put this onto this. So the first thing I did was go to the Insert Multi-Mesh repository, which is on ZBrush Central. So if you click on ZBrush Central, go to the main thread gallery, go to ZBrush main forum, and then go to the Insert Multi-Mesh repository. And then on page 4, we have Jay Meyer. I couldn't find any more information about this guy, but he does really cool brushes like this. And this is just an insert multi-mesh, which is basically you have an anchor point, end point, beginning point, end point, and then a repeating middle. This is exactly the pattern he was looking for. So instead of remaking it, I'm just going to use this brush right here. And where I put that was, if we go to ZBrush for our 7 ZBrushes here, and I have an insert multi-mesh folder in here. I just went ahead and threw them in there. So all I have to do to get that brush is hit the comma key and then go to my brush tab over here, and I'm going to go to the insert multi-mesh, and I've got the TP Knot 01. I'm just going to grab that. And just a quick discussion on how this thing works. I'm going to make a polymesh 3D. And basically, this is just a curved brush, again, with a repeating middle with a beginning and an end. So if I make my brush size bigger, that'll make the pattern bigger. And it'll also kind of stick to a surface and wrap around. Now, if I want to wrap this around a surface, like, say, a cylinder, all I have to do is click on the cylinder and then drag off, and then hold down Shift, and that'll wrap it around the cylinder like so. And then I can go ahead and make my brush size bigger. If you also want to, you can go to your brush modifiers and change your strength multiplier if you want it to, like, punch out more. Or put this back down to 1. You can also drop your Z intensity down if you want it to be flatter. You can also go in here to your depth and bump up your depth if you want it to stick out a little bit more. So you can make it very flat with lower Z intensity with a higher depth, or you can crank up your Z intensity, get 100%, and then drop your depth back down so it sits right on the surface there. Or you can, there you go, and you can also do your strength multiplier. So let's see if this works on a chest. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on this object, but away from the curve there. And I'm going to do a quick hide point, split hidden. And I have this in my custom menu here, but for you, that would be under subtool. Well, for you guys, what you could have done is just do a split unmask points, and that'll split it off into its own subtool. And I guess I don't really need that anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. So let's go ahead and make a chest really quick. Hold down Control Shift, and I'm just going to take off the bottom of this thing here. Delete hidden, go into my transpose by hitting W, hold down Shift, bring this down, and I'm going to go into my Z modeler tools, go over an edge, close, convex hole, Control Shift click this poly groups right here, mask it, Control Shift to bring everything else back, Control click to invert that mask. I'm using a little transpose modeling, so I'm going to hold down Shift while I drag out, move, transpose, hold down Control Shift, and that'll give me more geometry with the bottom. And now I have a chest. So now what I want to do is go ahead and wrap that around the chest. Now if we want to be fancier, what we can do is I'm going to go back in my Z modeler here, which is under B for brush, Z to narrow down your Z modelers, and then M for Z modeler, or I have a hotkey to it. I'm going to go ahead and take these 2 poly groups here, and we're going to polygroup a poly loop here. Here. And the reason it's doing that is because I've got this really weird geometry down here, so I'm going to undo all that. And let's do it this way. I'm going to go ahead and just grab these here and ungrab those, hold down Control Shift and then Alt. I'm going to hit Control W to make this a polygroup. And now what I can do is use my Q Mesh brush on a polygroup All and just go ahead and pull this out. So now I got kind of an area for this thing to fit on. So let's go ahead and grab our brush. I'm going to hit B. B as in boy, and I'm going to go grab the TP knot, which I have loaded in here at the very bottom because I loaded it in from this menu in here by hitting the comma key. And now I can just click on here, hold down Shift, wrap it around, make my brush size larger, and it'll fit on there. Now in the picture, it looks like it kind of goes around and then it kind of stops halfway, so let's go ahead and do that. You can just grab this end point here and just kind of rotate it around. Let's see if we can get it to go here. I'm going to flip it upside down and see. There we go. Rotate that around here. And I'm going to go ahead and tap again just to go ahead and get rid of that curve. If you do want to just delete that curve manually, you can go into the stroke menu, open up your curve menus here, and I'm holding down shift to keep all the menus open. And so here's where all your curve stuff is, and you can go in here and hit this delete under curve functions, and that'll delete any curves you have. You can also do that just by tapping on an object away from the curve. And I'm going to do another hide point split hidden for my custom menu. So we've got this here, and I'm just going to go to the side here, and I'm going to just say, you know what, we're going to slice this thing right through here. There you go. And then hold down Control Shift, go back to Select Rect. I'm going to grab this top point here, and then grab this piece here, and I'm going to go ahead and delete hidden, which for you guys will be under Geometry, Modify Topology, Delete Hidden. Somewhere in here, Modify Topology, Delete Hidden. And just for the heck of it, I'm going to do a quick Close Holes, which for you will be under Modify Topology, Close Holes there. And now we've got this piece right here. So now, let's go ahead and turn Solo back on, or back off. And if you want to, you can go ahead and turn on under Geometry, not Dynamesh. At the very top here, Dynamic Subdivisions, you can turn on Dynamic, and that'll actually give you a preview of a sub-D mesh here based on how many smooth subdivisions you have, which is just 2 for now. And if I want to, I can also go in here to Inflate, which for you guys will be under Deformation, Inflate. And there you go. And if you want to just see really quickly how this brush was put together, and I'm not going to go really in depth on a repeating curve mode brush, a little bit outside of the scope of this video, but just really quick, you can go and grab the star polymesh and go and grab your brush, hit B, and grab this brush here. And I'm going to go into Geometry, Modify Topology, and I'm going to tell it to get a mesh from brush. And you're going to see here that he's got and it's kind of misleading because these polygroups are so similarly colored, so I'm going to select this top one and just give it a new polygroup here. So you're going to see he has a top polygroup, a middle repeating polygroup, and a bottom polygroup. So if I want to do this, I can go to Brush, Create Insert Mesh, New, and as I drag this out, it's just going to be an Insert Mesh brush. So I have to go into my Stroke menu, turn on my under Curve, I'm going to turn on Curve Mode, and now with the Curve Mode, when I drag it out, it's going to repeat all those middle pieces here. Now it's not welding right now, so I'm going to go over here to my brush modifiers, turn on weld points, and then I click this to update this stroke. It'll actually start welding those points. And there's a lot of other options you can do. You can do curve res, stretch, you can taper, thick to thin, and all that good stuff. So a lot of options in there. I'm not going to go over them right now just because, again, it's kind of outside of the scope of this video. But hope that was helpful for you, and happy ZBrushing.